For weeks, I had tried to make sense of the little things, the tiny moments that had seemed insignificant at first, but now I could see they were all pieces of the puzzle I had never wanted to admit was broken. I remembered the way she had laughed at me last month, in the middle of my own birthday lunch, brushing off my efforts with a giggle that was not her own, a laughter that carried someone else's echo, a joy that didn't belong to us. At the time, I dismissed it, telling myself I was overthinking, that maybe she was just joking, that the stress of work had her on edge. But the truth is, my instincts never lie. It started to become a pattern. That subtle smirk when I mentioned dinner plans, the way her eyes darted the phone, whenever mine was not in view, the casual excuses that never really explain anything. I remember the Monday morning, the hum of the office, the smell of fresh coffee lingering in the air, and the delivery guy appeared at her workplace, carrying a bouquet of flowers meant for our anniversary. The moment she opened the door, there it was. That giggle, high-pitched, careless, a sound that should have been reserved for shared joy, but instead, it belonged to someone else entirely. My stomach tightened, and a cold knot formed in my chest. I realized in that moment that the betrayal I had feared was no longer hypothetical. It was real, present, laughing in front of my eyes. I left the office that day without a word. I didn't shout, I didn't accuse, I didn't create a scene. I drove home in silence, the hum of the tires against asphalt like a metronome, counting out the moments of my disbelief. I poured a drink, sat at the edge of the couch, and let the room absorb my shock. My mind ran through every conversation, every touch, every whispered word over the past year. The clarity came like a sharp, cold wind. She had never been invested in the way I had thought she was. Every "I love you" had carried the weight of performance rather than sincerity. For days, I observed her without confrontation, noting her habits, her laughter, her casual disregard. I didn't need proof. My heart recognized the signs without a courtroom to validate it. And then it came to me. The revenge she would never anticipate, not because it was cruel, but because it was honest, precise, and final. I began to write, not with anger, not with rage, not with a heated passion that could have burned bridges in a public spectacle, but with a quiet, deliberate precision, each word measured, each sentence carrying the weight of the truth she had denied me. It was not a letter of threats, nor one of humiliation for others to read. This was a letter meant to reflect her actions back at her, to mirror her own disregard in the stark light of honesty. The day I delivered the letter, I didn't announce my arrival. I didn't make it dramatic for anyone but her. The paper felt heavier in my hands than it should have, as if it contained not ink, but the accumulated weight of months of deception and silence. I slipped it under her office door, watched her pick it up, and observed the change before my eyes. That careless giggle vanished the moment her eyes fell on the words. Her confident posture faltered. I saw the recognition dawn slowly, painfully, that she was no longer in control. The power she thought she wielded with laughter and sidelong glances had been stripped away by the simplest instrument, truth. I didn't watch her cry. I didn't linger to see the impact of my words fully unfold. I turned, walked away, and let the silence speak for me. Yet, even as I left, I felt the release that comes from reclaiming one's dignity, the strange comfort in knowing that justice does not always need to be shouted. Sometimes it is the quiet, deliberate act that carries the most weight, the slow burn of reality that no performance can escape. By the time I returned home that evening, I had shed more than just anger. I had shed illusions, misplaced hope, and naivety that had allowed me to see betrayal where there should have been honesty. And in that shedding, I discovered clarity, a sharp, piercing clarity that only comes when you no longer tolerate deceit, when you recognize the value of your own integrity above the fleeting amusement of someone else. The room smelled faintly of the rain outside, fresh and clean, and I let the quiet wash over me, savoring the freedom that had arrived not in shouts or confrontations, but in a single, deliberate act of truth.